important announcements. So be sure to keep this open so you can follow along.
Let us worship.
So I'm doing the music today. When Laura told me that we were doing something about the trickster in the world being against you, I didn't know what kind of music to do, but it came to me, like any good Unitarians, we're going to sing the blues.
You had style, you had class, you had everything to make a love last. You had grace, you had charm, you had me hanging over your arm. When I found out you were a fake, you ran up and bit me like a snake. I wasn't ready to let you go and let all my feelings show. Tell me why you wanna be so cold, why you wanna be so mean. You gonna let your true colors show. You're a perpetual blues machine. We could have been just fine if you had only been all of mine. I was for real, but you didn't know that you were stepping on my heart as you were walking out the door. Now I know just who you are, that it's a damn good thing we didn't get too far. I'm not the one that's right for you. You need a man to do your rolling like you want him to. Baby, why you wanna be so cold? Oh, why you wanna be so mean? You gonna let your true colors show. You're a perpetual blues machine. Now you're gone, and I'm glad that we didn't let it get too bad. You know I tried to make it go, but there was just no way to tell you so, baby. Why you wanna be so cold? Why you wanna be so mean? You gonna let your true colors show. You a perpetual blues machine. Tell me why you wanna be so cold, why you wanna be so mean. You gonna let your true colors show. You're a perpetual blues machine. Yeah, perpetual blues machine.
Thank you, Colin. Perfect. We would like to extend an especially warm welcome to those who are here for the first time. So glad you were here. Our greeter is dropping our connection card into the chat box if you would like to complete that and connect to our community. This caring, supportive community has a pastoral care committee who works closely with our minister to provide support, care, and a listening ear. please fill out the pastoral care card being dropped into the chat box if you would like the care team and/or Reverend Laura to reach out to you. There is also a link on our website. Our online services are intergenerational, and we have a religious exploration program whose director, Rebecca Britt, is happy to hear from you. Her email is in the chat box now. There is a lot happening here at SVU US, and the Happenings Weekly newsletter is a concise, up-to-the-minute way to stay connected. Lori Quigley's email is now in the chat box if you would like to reach out to her to receive happenings. We are also active on Facebook and have an event calendar on our website. This is a quick reminder. We have some announcements that committees and small groups are welcome to reserve the sanctuary or the social hall for in-person meetings and events at this time. Group size is limited to 20 people, and COVID-19 protocols for masking and physical distancing are required. Construction on our new play structure began this week. We will be hosting a ribbon cutting and blessing ceremony on Sunday, May 2nd at 1 p.m. This is an opportunity to gather as a community, as a whole, and celebrate the completion of the project. The event will be held outside and masks will be required. Children and youth will be invited to participate in the blessing ceremony, and no advanced planning or preparation is required. Just show up and prepare to have fun. We would now like to share the warmth of community and light the chalice. So.
It'll be an happening, I guess.
Yeah.
So if you feel comfortable, please unmute yourselves and greet one another verbally. Or you can drop your greetings in the chat box.
Well, look, almost time.
Hi, folks. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Good
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Love the music, Colin.
Oh, that was great.
Wonderful.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
We invite you to stand in body, mind, or spirit as we say our chalice lighting words and use the actions if you want. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light
of truth,
and for the
energy
of
action.
Can't have my breakfast.
So you could do church first.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elena Hendricks, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. My pronouns are she and her. Come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter your gender, whom you love, how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You are welcome here, whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes, you are welcome here. No matter what you have experienced in the past, no matter what awaits you in the future, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all of the time, or some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. This is a community of open minds, loving hearts, and willing hands. You are welcome here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society.
It is good to be together on this beautiful Sunday morning. I'm the Reverend Laura Young, and my pronouns are she and her. As I look outside our beautiful windows out of the sanctuary, I can see the pink trees on either side in bloom and the sun streaming into the sanctuary. And I am so looking forward to sharing this space with you again very soon. Our call to worship this morning is Wild Geese by Mary Oliver, a favorite of many of us. And she writes, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of rain are moving across the landscape over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Let us sing together. Our gathering hymn this month is when our heart is in a holy place. It was sung in our sanctuary by all of you, and Colin has extracted that along with the lyrics for you to enjoy at home. You will remain muted. We hope that you will sing along at home. All right. I invite all those who are young and old to gather on and gather in. We have a story for you this morning. Jordan is over there at the Joys and Sorrows camera. We're going to get him queued up here so you can see the pictures in the story. And I will do the reading. Okay, well, we'll get that spotlight going in just a second. So this story is called Coyote and the Little Tune. And Coyote is foremost amongst the tricksters of Native American storytelling. And this tale comes from the Zuni people of the Southwest. One day, Coyote was on one of his long expeditions through the forest when he heard the sound of a locust singing from the branch of a pinyon tree. Kokopelli has a back with a hump. Cocopelli's feet are on back to front. Cocopelli's playing is very fine, and so is mine. Now, Locust would have sung that, but I am not so comfortable singing by myself for all of you. Over and over, Locust sang this silly little song about the music god. Then he played a few notes on his flute and started over again. Coyote sat under the pinyon tree and listened. Eventually, he called up to Locust. "That's a fine song, old friend. Will you teach it to me?" "Surely," said Locust, pleased that Coyote liked his song. So he taught it to Coyote, and the two of them sang it together, Locust with his high piping voice and Coyote with his low growling voice. "That was wonderful," said Coyote, when they had sung the song a few times. "Didn't we sound good together?" "Oh, yes," said Locust. But secretly, he thought that Coyote had the worst voice he'd ever heard and that they had sounded terrible together. "I have to go now," said Coyote, "but thank you for sharing your song." "You're welcome," said Locust. And off went Coyote, humming the song under his breath. He was concentrating so hard on remembering the tune that he didn't see a dead branch in the path. He fell over it, smacking his chin on the dusty ground, and the tune just fell right out of his head. Have you ever had that happen? More likely than not, it's a song that you can't get out of your head rather than the one you can't remember. But Coyote thought to himself, "I love that song so much. I'll just have to go back and ask Locust to teach it to me again." So back he went, and there was Locust still sitting on the pinyon tree, piping away and singing his little song. "I'm so sorry," said Coyote, "but I fell over a dead branch and hurt myself. Your song went right out of my head. Can you teach it to me again?" "Of course," said Locust patiently, "but pay attention this time." Locust sang the song again. "Have you got it now?" he asked. "Oh, yes," said Coyote. "Thank you so much." Then off he set again, singing the song over and over to himself so that he wouldn't forget it. He was concentrating so hard on the tune that he didn't see a river in front of him, and he fell into it and almost drowned. The shock of the cold water chased the song completely out of his head. Back he went to Locust. "I'm really, really sorry about this, but I fell into a river and forgot your song. For the second time, please, please sing it to me again, just one more time." Locust sighed and sang his song again. "There," he said, "try to remember it this time." "Thank you, I will," said Coyote, and away he went. This time, Coyote got much farther away before a rock fell and hit him on the head. It knocked him out cold, and when he came to, he had forgotten the song completely. "Oh no," said Coyote. "Now I shall have to go back to and ask Locust again. Surely he still won't mind. He's such a friendly fellow." So off he went, back to the pinyon tree. Locust, meanwhile, thinking that Coyote would never remember the song and that he was bound to come back again and ask for it over and over, decided it was time to play a trick on Coyote, the trickster. Locust was about ready to shed his shell, which had become too tight for him. So he took it off and put a shiny pebble inside it and laid it on the branch of the pinyon tree. It looked just like a real locust. "That ought to fool Coyote," said Locust, and he flew off into another tree to watch and wait. Soon enough, there was the old trickster loping back. "Old friend," he called when he got out to the tree, "I'm sorry to trouble you again, but I had an accident. A rock fell on my head and knocked your song out of it. Was it about Corn Maiden or Dragonfly, or was it about Winged Serpent? I just can't remember." Well, of course, he got no answer from the shell. Locust sat on his branch and laughed quietly to himself. Hey, shouted Coyote, come on, sing your song for me one last time. Still, he got no answer. I'm starting to get angry, yelled Coyote. Sing that song for me or I'll come up there and eat you. Still, the locust shell was silent. Right then, said Coyote. He jumped into the pinyon tree and seized the shell in his jaws and crunched as hard as he could. Then he began to howl in pain because a stone inside the shell had broken one of his sharp front teeth. Coyote couldn't understand what had happened. He ran off, still howling, and didn't come back that way for a long, long time. Never try to teach a song to such a dodo, muttered Locust, and he went back to playing his flute and singing his little song. Kokopelli has a back with a hump. Kokopelli's feet are on back to front. Kokopelli's playing is very fine, and so is mine. So ends our story for today.
This community, our church, and its many ministries are only made possible by the gifts you give of your time, your talents, and your treasure. Many of you pledge monthly to support our work, and for this we are grateful. Your gifts help us to ensure that we are able to live our values of love and justice in the world outside. Part of our ministry at South Valley includes sharing our Sunday worship offering with a charitable organization that aligns with our principles and values. Your gift today will support the work of South Valley and Tree Utah. This morning, we're pleased to welcome Amy Day, the Executive Director of Tree Utah, to share with us about the history and work of the organization.
Good morning. I'm Amy May, the director of Tree Utah, and I'm really happy to be invited to be here with you all today. I'm excited. We have a tree planting coming up today at 1 p.m. and it should go until 4 at the latest at Big Cottonwood Regional Park. And I hope a bunch of you are planning on joining us. It's not too late. If you haven't joined yet, you're welcome to come check it out. Even if you can just come for part of the time. And I should say my pronouns are she, her, and just very happy to be here with you all. I have a little presentation to show you that kind of explains the different types of plantings Tree Utah does and what we do. And so I'll just set up this little screen share here. There we are. So let me move this over. Tree Utah is a nonprofit organization, and we have been in Salt Lake City, and we work throughout Utah for almost 30 years. Or sorry, actually over 30 years at this point. Our mission is to improve Utah's quality of life for present and future generations by enhancing the environment through tree planting, education, and stewardship. We have 3 main types of plantings that we do with groups such as your own and the public and different great schools and things. We do restoration plantings in natural areas like BLM land or Forest Service land. This picture that you see here is a site where cottonwoods were all burned in a big fire about 3 years ago. And we've been replanting cottonwood cuttings that are now growing. These are all native plants, and we put them together with, like, if we're planting cottonwoods, we also plant substory plants like woods rose and other things that help kind of create the ecosystem and biodiversity that you want to see in those areas. We do park plantings like what we're doing today with pretty much the largest trees that you can possibly plant by hand with groups of people. We're excited to be doing this today. We are putting in 10 different types of elm trees that are hybrid elms, so they're resistant to Dutch elm disease in Big Cottonwood Regional Park, where they have lost a bunch of trees due to bacterial wetwood and different diseases. The original cottonwoods that the park was named after are essentially all entirely gone. And so it's a huge ongoing kind of multi-year project to replant, and we're happy to be adding to that today. and school plantings, where we also put in really large trees. Schoolyards are unique and wonderful because there tends to be a lot of lawn and they have irrigation already, but they don't necessarily have a lot of funding for trees. And so we focus especially on the west side of the valley here in Salt Lake County, and put in trees and create kind of an outdoor educational experience, like a field trip for the children to be able to learn as they go and help put those trees in themselves. So getting to know the nature around them in a bit of a new way. We also have an eco garden in Rose Park in Salt Lake City, which is an urban orchard space that's set up as a permaculture, established kind of permaculture site. And we're working on adding to the different urban orchards peppered throughout Salt Lake County, especially to help with food insecurity and teach people how to grow their own food, and make people less afraid of maybe growing fruits if they're like, oh, it might be a mess or I don't know how. We're creating these demonstration sites to be able to do that. We love to engage the local community. If you ever know of a place where trees have been lost or you want to see more trees, you're welcome to reach out to us. Really, I work as a matchmaker between projects that I know are in need of trees and the funding for those trees and the people who want to come and help us plant. So that's what we do. We track also all of the carbon sequestration and air quality improvements. We use iTree, which is a partnership between the Forest Service and the Arbor Day Foundation. And it's just a good boilerplate way to kind of be able to track and give people reports on this is what your trees have, will provide over the next 50 years or 100 years as we go forward. And that's our team. And I am always available if you want to email me. It's just an easy amy@treeutah.org. I'm happy to answer questions. I hope to see and meet a bunch of you at our event later today. You can check out our website at treeutah.org. And just really, really happy to be invited to be a part of this. So thank you.
So for this next song, I'm also using my friend Andy Makeley on guitar. Andy is a friend from college who I sort of knew, and I wanted to share a quick story. I actually found out that he found Unitarianism after college because I went to him to brainstorm about songs, and he kept asking about some Christian musicians that he knew and Christian songs, and I was like, oh, we're Unitarian. He's like, oh, I get it. He told me the story. This is a direct quote. He said, I always felt like I was blue, and I wondered where all the other blue people were. And I walked into the Unitarian church in Atlanta, and there they all were. So I thought that was a nice thing. We didn't have to evangelize at all. He was just there. So anyway, the first song we did is the standard blues song where everything's wrong. This second one, everything's wrong, and maybe it's for the good. And I hope you stick around for the postlude where things turn around completely.
Colin, before you play your video, I just wanted to say our offertory words and thank Amy. You're good. So if you feel like joining me, please do. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together, we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts.
Hang on, let me make sure I get the right song here.
Was in the spring, one sunny day, my sweetheart left me. Lord, she went away, and now she's gone, but I don't worry. Lord, I'm sitting on top of the world. You know, she called me up from down in El Paso. She said, come back, Daddy. Oh, I need you so. And now she's gone, and I don't worry. Lord, I'm sitting on top of the world. If you don't like my peaches, don't you shake my tree. Get out of my orchard, let my peaches be. Now she's gone, well, I don't worry. Lord, I'm sitting on top of the world. Hey, don't you come here running, holding out your hand. I'm gonna get me a woman like you got your man. Now she's gone, but I don't worry. Lord, I'm sitting on top of the world. Twas in the spring, one sunny day, my sweetheart left me. Lord, she went away, and now she's gone, but I don't worry. Lord, I'm sitting on top of the world. And now she's gone, and I don't worry. Lord, I'm sitting on top of the world.
That's really good. Yeah.
For all that we have received and all we have found the courage to give, may we be truly grateful. May these gifts be a blessing for South Valley and Tree, Utah. And thank you, Colin, for your music. It is fantastic. You're putting a skip in my heart today. We're going to transition over to our joys and sorrows. I'm going to give Jordan a moment to get over to our joys and sorrows bowl. Okay, so here's how we would like to do joys and sorrows. As you wish, please use the chat box to enter in something that is in your heart that you'd like this community to hold for you. It could be something that is delightful or something that you would like our compassion and thoughts this week as you go forward. And as you drop them in the chat box, I will read them out and Jordan will drop a stone in the water. And at the end, as is our tradition, we will drop one final stone to represent those joys and sorrows that remain unspoken. I invite you now to join me in a time of silent meditation, reflection, or prayer. Spirit of life, we give great thanks for the arrival again of the spring, for the budding of the trees and the blooming of the tulips, for the winds that bring in the fresh air, the signs that the season is passing. We are so grateful that the vaccines are continuing to roll out. Our gratitude cannot be expressed often enough for the first responders in our schools, in our healthcare environments, in our food establishments, and just the day-to-day work that goes into caring for all of us in this community. This has been a difficult time. And we are grateful for the bonds of this community that have grown ever stronger in the midst of this trial. We lift up in our hearts communally those joys and sorrows expressed by each and all of us in this space, and hold special care and attention for those that are feeling sadness or sorrow today. May their presence here be one in which they also find comfort and grounding from the blessings of this community. Let us be silent in this space with one another for a time. May it be so. Blessed be and amen.
This week marked the 70th anniversary of Yom HaShoah, the Day of Holocaust Remembrance in the Jewish calendar, which began in 1950 to remember the 6 million Jews murdered during World War II. With ample photographic evidence and other documents to remind people of the horrors of white supremacist ideology, we seldom hear people deny the actions of the Nazi and other nationalist regimes against the Jews, or hear them defend such actions. However, many years before, there was a similar near annihilation of peoples, far greater in number, here on this continent, that few people recognize or memorialize. Indigenous peoples of North and South America have been infected, murdered, displaced, enslaved, imprisoned, and assimilated by the tens, if not hundreds of millions since the arrival of Europeans 500 years ago, leaving their cultures, languages, and ways of life hanging by a thread. Yet despite these endless losses, they survive. Like the Jews, their survival is nothing short of miraculous. They are rooted in a deep sense of belonging to the land, which they see as living and caring for them to the 7th generation. As their grief threatens to overwhelm, they endure, with the understanding that adapting is all they or anyone else can do in the face of such changes. Their resilience comes from many encounters with the trickster God. Reverend Laura's sermon, "The Universe is Messing with Me," is all about those times in our individual and collective lives when we feel persecuted, punished, or just like we're being led on a wild goose chase, being frustrated at every turn, prevented from achieving our goals to survive and thrive. Even those of us who do not believe in a personal God have doubtless felt those sneaking suspicions that someone or something is conspiring against us. It's human nature to project conscious intention onto inanimate things, even the universe, and to feel that we are somehow central to its plans and that those plans don't necessarily agree with our own. The process of aligning our plans with those of the universe in order to prevent this frustration is a humbling one that takes a certain amount of spiritual maturity and sometimes a lot of pain and loss. Ancient wisdom traditions can provide valuable, time-tested insights into the process and can help to lessen or make manageable the the feeling of being lost along the way. This is one of the great functions of religion, and probably why many of us are here. Not because we believe in any one system of knowing the mind of the universe or trust it completely, but because we recognize our need for solid spiritual ground through life's challenges, and we see value in those traditions. In her beautiful work, Braiding Sweetgrass, the Potawatomi ecologist Robin Kimmer teaches one such tradition, that of the honorable harvest, which she summarizes in this way. Know the ways of the ones who take care of you, so that you may take care of them. Introduce yourself. Be accountable as the one who comes asking for life. Ask permission before taking. Abide by the answer. Never take the first, never take the last. Take only what you need. Take only that which is given. Never take more than half. Leave some for others. Harvest in a way that minimizes harm. Use it respectfully. Never waste what you have taken. Share. Give thanks for what you have been given. Give a gift in reciprocity for what you have taken. Sustain those who sustain you, and the earth will last forever. To illustrate this tradition in practice, she recounts a story given to her from one of her elder medicine woman teachers about a time when the elder went looking for a specific plant in the forest, a plant with red foliage, and took along with her her favorite trowel that had a red handle. After many minutes searching, she came upon a single plant beneath a tree. She greeted it, but following the rules of the honorable harvest, she left it there and kept searching. After several fruitless hours, she started to return home empty-handed and noticed that her trowel was missing, that it must have slipped out of her bag. As the sun was going down, her search became more urgent. And there it was, fallen next to a large patch of the sought-after plant that she had missed before, much more than she needed. She gave thanks for the temporary loss of her tool so that she could be blessed by this abundance. This past year, the universe, or perhaps better stated, the failures of world leadership and thoughtless actions of others, have taken many things and many lives from us. In no way am I suggesting that the loss of a trip, a ceremony, a party, a weekly Sunday worship and coffee hour are the same or in nature as the loss of land, life, dignity, and culture that Jews and Native peoples have suffered. However, many among us have suffered greater things: a job, financial security, their health, a family member. And that pain deserves to be recognized and to be healed. May we emerge from this disruption in our lives stronger, more resilient, with the patient, grateful, reciprocal grace of our adopted elders.
Thank you, Jordan. The universe is always messing with me. Or the words, God's got my number, and he's certain, or she's certain, or they're certain to always ruin my plans, whatever they are, whenever they are, no matter what they are, in order just to mess with me. And it is so darn frustrating. It's so darn frustrating because my ego just wants what it wants every single time, right on with prediction. That is just not how the world works. And this observation from my own lived experience is, of course, reflected by the quantum physicists who often describe the universe as beautiful, wild, and weird. We live in a rather odd universe, prone to surprising us with its perpetual unfolding into ever greater complexity. And it is this complexity that the sages of our various wisdom traditions are pointing to when they offer us myths of deities who seem to delight in the uprooting of human expectations, and they write stories about how humans have successfully navigated, or not, periods of intense change and transformation. As human beings, we are not generally known for our easy embrace of change. For the most part, we'd rather avoid it because we all know that change is a bit messy, unpredictable, and uncomfortable. Yet we also deeply admire people who have endured change. And in our own lives, it is often those periods of transformation that are the most meaningful, even if at the time it is far more stressful than we planned. While I'm a firm believer in science, and it seems incredibly unlikely that the universe is taking much of a personal interest in me and my story, sometimes it really does seem like the universe is messing with me. Sometimes it really does seem like the universe takes a bit of delight in upending my life periodically. And sometimes transformation is so ridiculously messy and complicated that the only sane response is to let yourself giggle and snort on your way into a body-shaking, snot-filled, ugly cry that leaves you with a headache afterwards. I recall just briefly one of those moments, and it was the moment that it finally and fully occurred to me that I was not straight. And it began with a wave of tears, followed by a peal of laughter and another wave of tears, and then a snort of snot in which I jokingly asked God, why me? She could not possibly need another gay Unitarian Universalist minister. Our ranks are full of that. And she quipped back that, of course not. She was simply short on redheads. That's how it goes with me in the universe. And as weird and as stressful as that might sound, and as weird and as stressful as change can be, most of us, given proper support and time to heal, can emerge from a change cycle with a better sense of who we are and what's important to us. So I think the question is not, do you believe in science or myth or something in between, but rather, given the inevitability of change, how shall you best navigate it? So let me ask you this. How many of you out there in the Zoom community have ever burned a piece of toast? Raise your hand so everyone in the gallery can see you. It looks like we're at about 100%. Now, what is the difference between a perfectly toasted bread and a horribly burned piece of charcoal black toast? Well, other than the obvious flavor and texture differences, the main difference is that one was well monitored and the other likely ignored or otherwise forgotten about. And the result is clear. One is enjoyable and the other ends up either sadly salvaged with scraping or thrown in the trash. I'd like to suggest that transformation, that process of profound and radical change that enters into our lives from time to time and alerts us that the only thing that must change is absolutely everything if we wish to be free and joyful in the fullest sense of our humanity, bears striking resemblance to the making of toast in at least 3 ways. First and foremost, transformation is a one-direction path. It's one way. Once you hear the call to something deeper and decide to answer it, there's really no turning back. Or to keep with our metaphor, there's no untoasting a piece of toast. Once you slice a piece of bread from the loaf and apply heat, the change process is begun. In the mid-1990s, Robert Fury authored a book about callings entitled The Road to You. And in it, he wrote that while we have the freedom to deny and repress our callings, Ignoring them requires huge amounts of psychological energy, energy that is meant to be used for the reduction of suffering, our own and that of others. And his writing on this subject has given me many opportunities for reflection as I have walked deeper into ministry over the last 7 or 8 years. And I have felt often quite heartened that his optimistic stance is this: the best response to the call to transformation is simply being willing to show up and be present to what is already unfolding in our lives. The question is, what does showing up mean? And what does it require of us? Or to return to our toast metaphor, what does it take to ensure our toast turns out delicious? Since everyone likes their toast a little different, the techniques are surely varied, but the insight is simple. Find a way to pay attention to your toast making. In our living, we often don't get to choose when change comes upon us. And often the biggest changes are likely to catch us by surprise and take us on a journey whether we are willing or not. So cultivating the habits and skills and qualities that help us to ensure we are grounded and calm in our daily living can help us enormously when the going gets tough. Sometimes cultivating such practices is difficult, so I suggest you should start with toast. Parker Palmer writes that self-care is never a selfish act. It is simply good stewardship of the only gift I have, the gift I was put on earth to offer others. And anytime we can listen to true self and give it the care it requires, we do it not only for ourselves, but for the many others whose lives we touch. So self-care and paying attention, 2 ingredients to successful transformation. And Brene Brown, that guru of vulnerability for Western culture, writes that it is through our stories and the telling of them that we learn and teach the skills of graceful transformation. And remember, all transformations look graceful after the fact. It's in the midst that they are an expletive-filled experience. Brene Brown writes that that is the purpose and the point and the joy of transformation. That actually those hero stories we tell of in our myths and our legends around the world, that the hero's journey only begins once we realize that none of the reasonable solutions are going to work out to solve the mess of problems that we face. And only the most unreasonable, most terrifying, and most vulnerable of solutions are going to get us from where we are to where we seek to be. And she writes, it's always going to take more than we feel like we've got, and more in order to survive a transformation with our soul intact. And Brene Brown concludes, and I concur, that it is from showing up, being present, and being vulnerable in the midst of transition and change, that it is at those moments that our moral character is formed. Robert Fury, Parker Palmer, Brene Brown, each of these authors suggest that the key to navigating change cycles successfully lies in our ability to slow down, to pay attention, to care for ourselves, body, mind, spirit, soul, and to do the hard work of showing up with integrity. They also all agree, and I concur, that when we do in fact slow down and do these things, we pay attention, we may even begin to enjoy the process. Perpetually multitasking and rushing through generally produces frustration, resentment, bitterness, and burnout. Whereas being intentionally slow, applying attentive attention, produces fulfillment, joy, and gratitude. It's just like toast. If you rush around doing too much at one time, your toast burns. And as everyone who's ever tried to salvage a piece of burnt toast, it's not very delicious. So slow down, enjoy the process. Toast is delicious, and so can transformation be also. Do this, and your seasons of change will be more often illuminated by growth and insight rather than marked by suffering and trauma. I have one final piece to offer before my transformation as toast metaphor is exhausted, and it is this. One should never forget that the whole point of making toast is, in fact, to eat a piece of toast. It's popular to suggest these days that it is the journey, not the destination, that matters. However, I want you to remember that when we make a piece of toast, we very much intend to both nourish and enjoy ourselves when we undertake toast making. It's kind of the whole point. And likewise, our transformations are purposeful. Transformations have both a destination and moments of arrival. The destination is a richer, more fulfilling, and joy-filled life. And the moment of arrival on the other side of a piece of transformation is like enjoying your most perfect piece of toast with your most favorite topping on it. A delicious celebration of the goodness of life and a deep affirmation of your resplendent, full, beautiful humanity. And that's where the metaphor ends. For transformation of the soul is a serious undertaking. And while humor is a necessary ingredient in the process, one must also be careful not to let humor get in the way of, again, paying attention to the process and taking seriously the goal of becoming ever more skillful as we mature in our lives and pursue our callings. I will leave you with the musings of Mary Oliver, who alludes to the soul as a wild and precious thing, prone to messiness and skittishness, but also capable of tremendous blooms of love. She writes, "You do not have to be good. You only have to let your soft animal body love what it loves and listen for the world as it announces your place in the family of things." Let that be enough. May it be so, and amen. Our closing hymn this morning is Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, performed by Dave Rowe. This version was recorded for the Unitarian Universalist Society of Iowa City in October 2020, and the musician has been compensated for our usage of his music today. Our Zoom runner will share their screen where the lyrics will be and the music will be displayed. Everyone will remain muted, but you're invited to sing along in your own home.
Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, where are you? In the sky song, in the forest sounds your cry. What to give you, what to call you, what am I? Many drops are in the ocean deep and wide. Sunlight bounces off the ripples to the sky. What to give you, what to call you, time flies from me, what is time? Dreams eternal, fears infernal haunt my heart. What to give you, what to call you, oh my God. Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, take our hearts, take our breath and let our voices sing our parts. Take our hands and let us work to shape our art.
Let us now extinguish our communal chalice. You are invited to unmute yourselves, stand and say our chalice extinguishing words together. We have put the words in the chat box if you would like to follow along. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of community, the light of truth, or the energy of action. We hold each other in our hearts until we meet again.
Okay, for this last one, I've been, for 3 or 4 months, I've been trying to bug any musician I know to get on this this system we're using to play music together, and they all seem to come through right about for this one. So win a little bananas on this one. I think it's pretty fun. There's a sax player from college. There's a bass player that I met here in town when I first moved to town, who's practically a pro. And then there's a trumpet player who is 17. So hope you like it.
I gotta mute. 1, 2, 3.
I got this song, gonna sing, I'm gonna sing it just for you and you and you if you dig the blues. I want you to help me sing it too. I want everybody to hear me say, blues is back and it's here to stay. I used to have someone that meant the whole world to me. But you left me for someone else, left my heart in misery. That's when I found out the blues would always be a part of me. When she left me, she gave me the blues. It was the last thing I thought I could use. And now I'm glad she left me, that she gave me the blues. If you never gave me the blues, never would have found my way to you. And that's why I say, hey, hey, the blues is alright. 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 It's alright, alright, it's alright, alright. Day and night, That's why the blues is all right.
I think there's basically no benediction necessary at this point other than say, wow. Thank you so much to all of those talented musicians for putting a step in our heart and a bounce in our knee for the rest of the weekend. I guarantee you the next time you make toast, you will make it differently. So to your future toast making and to all that comes to you this week, may you be grounded fully and beautifully in the joy that is South Valley. We are so glad that you were here today. Our lives are better because you are in it. Go forth now and be a blessing upon one another. May you be well. Amen. So may it be. We'll take a short break. We'll come back for social hour. We are going to be talking